So now we were saying, well, now we need more than ever the Pope's permission to let us go ahead, because he was reluctant to do that. But now, Arrupe could never again be general. So, we really needed a general congregation. The general could resign only through the acceptance of his offer by a general congregation. So we had to have a general congregation, and if the congregation accepted Arrupe's resignation, well, then they would go on to elect a new general. That was our way of proceeding. But the Pope was John Paul II was very, very reluctant to go along with this. So there's where we were. It's August. I'm the Vicar General running the society, and we're going along. And what the Pope said, the Pope sent word through Cardinal Casaroli. He sent word that I was to deal with Cardinal Casaroli, who was the Secretary of State, and then he would report to the Pope, who was out at Castel Gandolfo by now. He's out of the hospital and out at the summer residence. So we go on, finish August, we're into September, we're having meetings, just as before, and this continues until a fateful day, October 6th, still 1981. On October 6th, Father Gavinia, who was the General Father Arrupe's secretary, and he's acting as my secretary, he sent word in that Cardinal Casaroli had called and said he wanted to come over to see Father General, Father Arrupe. And Father Gavinia, who was acting as my secretary, he said, I asked he was talking to not to the Cardinal directly, but to the Cardinal Secretary. He said, I asked the Cardinal Secretary, did Cardinal Casaroli, the Secretary of State, want to talk with the Vicar? Because we'd been talking, I should have said that, since Father Arrupe's stroke, I had had daily contact with Cardinal Casaroli. Every day I talked to him or his secretary, who happened to be an American Archbishop named De Paoli. So from August the 10th, the day I was appointed vicar, I talked almost every day, either on the phone or sometimes in person, with either Cardinal Casaroli or the Father De Paoli. So here we are now, and it's October, and when Father Gavinia asked the Cardinal Secretary, did the Cardinal want to talk with the vicar? And he said, not necessarily. That struck him as strange, and it struck me as strange too. So, okay, here it's October the 6th, 1981, and at noon, we had arranged, Cardinal Casaroli came to our curia at Borgo Santo Spirito, and we had arranged Father Gavinia would be at the front door, and he would meet Cardinal Casaroli, and then he would bring him to Father Arrupe's room, where I would be, or I would be at the corridor and meet him at the elevator. So I met Cardinal Casaroli, and he was always very friendly. Oh, caro padre. So we're talking, and we go into the room. And when he saw Father Arrupe, he was struck. Father Arrupe looked terrible. He wasn't quite prepared for this. They thought that the stroke was, well, Father Arrupe was undone. He was not in good shape at all. So we're in the room now, and Brother Bandera, this brother who took care of Father, he was there too. He was very helpful. So after talking a while, Cardinal Casaroli said, I would like to talk to Father General alone. Well, both Brother Bandera and I were reluctant because we knew Cardinal Casaroli would never be able to understand Father Arrupe. He was speaking Spanish, but it was a difficult type of Spanish, and I'm pretty good at Spanish, but I had to get to learn it. So I left the room, Brother Bandera left the room, and we're out in the corridor for, I don't know, maybe 5, 7, maybe even 10 minutes, and suddenly we hear Cardinal Casaroli shouting, Padre O'Keefe. So we go into the room, and it was quite a scene I'll never forget. I had never seen Father Arrupe so distraught. He was white. He couldn't communicate with Cardinal Casaroli. And this is Father Arrupe, and he's saying, Cardinal Casaroli has a message from the Pope, who for Arrupe is the vicar of Christ, and he can't understand him, and he doesn't know what the Pope wants him to do. So I've never seen him so distraught. Arrupe is one of the calmest person ever, but and Cardinal Casaroli he's kind of frantic too, because he can't understand what Arrupe is trying to say to him. So it was, as I say, I can see that today as clear as just the way oh God. So we kind of quiet things down. I get Brother Bandera to help Father Arrupe. So I said to Cardinal Casaroli, I understand now what you want, and I'm going to arrange with Brother Bandera to have you meet with Father Dedza. That's what Cardinal Casaroli wanted to do. Also, when we had gotten into the room, we had Father Arrupe seated at a chair, like in a comfortable chair, and there was a coffee table out there in front of him, and I could see on the coffee table some documents. Oh. So, Brother Bandera came, he took Cardinal Casaroli. But I went out to the elevator with Cardinal Casaroli. That was interesting, and we put him on the elevator, but he never said anything about the document, that there was a document. So he went out, and I came, so I took Cardinal Casaroli, but then I came back, and Father Arrupe is pointing to this document. So I pick it up, and it's from the Pope, and it's in Italian, and I read it. And in it, the Pope says, you know, we're both convalescing and all this and that. He said, so to help matters out here now, I have appointed Father Paolo Dedza as my personal delegate to superintend the society, and Father Giuseppe Pitao, also Italian, as his coadjutor with the right of succession, terminology which we never used. Well, this was kind of a surprise. So I read it to Father Arrupe, and I said, did you understand all this? And he said, I think so. Creo que sí. And I said, well, where do you think, Father General, this leaves me, the vicar? Oh, he said, you stay. No, you stay. Father Dedza, he prepares the congregation, the general congregation, which we must have. But you run the society day to day. But you go see Father Dedza. Well, I was planning that anyhow. So I left Father General with Brother Bandera, and I go to see Father Dedza. Well, Father Dedza says, oh, caro padre, you know. I said, Padre, siamo in alto mare, we're deep sea, you know, we're bewildered. And he said, why? I said, well, this letter, we just got this letter. And he said, oh, I got a copy of that letter a week ago. Didn't you get a copy? Well, I was ready to jump out the window. I said, no, I didn't. So I said to him, now I've read the letter, and I was wondering how you understand the letter. How do you, Father Dedza, how do you understand my position? Oh, he said, you stay. So his understanding was pretty much what Father Arrupe had understood. But Father Dedza said, I'll have to see. So, okay. During the night he phones, and he phones to Cardinal Casaroli, the Secretary of State, who's not sure what the meaning is either. So he says, I'll have to talk to the Pope. So he did. In the following days, Cardinal Casaroli spoke with the Pope, John Paul II, who said, no, this is Father Dedza is in governing the society. The role of the Vicar General is terminated. I stayed on. I kept my function as Assistant General, but so this made a big difference. So what we did is, in our talks, the talks between Father Dedza and not just me, but the other general assistants, we agreed that this was an extraordinary thing, as it was. But what a shock it would be if the Jesuits around the world were to hear this on TV or radio, whatever, for the first time. So we both agreed, both Father Dedza, that this would remain confidential until the end of October. Remember, this is October 10th. I've been appointed, and these were the days right after that. So we agreed that there would be an embargo on this news until October 31st. And in the meantime, letters were prepared for each provincial, explaining what had happened, and then with a press release that was prepared by our own office at the Curia, explaining this whole thing, so that each provincial would have this news, and he could communicate it to all the communities in his province, and they would all know about it on the same day, on the last day of October. So they would have the news, and then we would publish it and make it public. And that seemed to be a good way. It would give us time to get the news to Jesuits in Australia and Brazil and all around the world. Well, we were kind of sitting on a time bomb there. And as it turned out, around October rather, the 22nd, I think it was, a Spanish priest who was friendly to us broke the news. How we got it, we don't know. But he broke the news, and it was pretty accurate about this appointment, this move that the Pope had made. That was October 22. Well, October 23 was in the Italian papers. Well, then, everybody was calling. We were, what's happening here? Is this true? And so I talked to Father Dedza, because I was getting all the phone calls, and I said, Father, the news is chaotic. We've got to let that message go now. The one we put on the bar, we have to let it go, because we need an authentic, an authoritative voice out there with clear news. So we decided, okay, we let it go. So that then, around October 23 or 24, we let our things go, and so it was announced and all throughout the society and to the press that, yeah, the Pope had made these appointments, and Father Dedza would take over as of October 31. On October 31, on the day, we had a Mass in our Curia Chapel at Borgo Santo Spirito. Father Arrupe was there in a wheelchair, and Father Dedza, of course, was there. We can't celebrate, I was there. And at the sign of peace, Father Dedza embraced Father Arrupe, and me too, and so there was a great open signal, a sign, symbol of unity, that we were all united, and so the government would go on. So from October 31 then, Father Dedza was in charge of the Society of Jesus. He was not Father General, he was Father Delegate, the personal delegate of the Pope. So this is the situation which we'd never had in the society before. You had the Pope appointing a delegate, which is not society terminology, to run the society. And he was replacing the Vicar General, I never used my own name, who had been appointed by the General, according to number 787 of the Constitutions, as Vicar General for the duration of the illness. So these were the two things there. And this caused a lot of confusion, as you can imagine. And people were wondering. So when the news got out, the American provincials, the United States provincials, I should say, they happened to be meeting. And so we got the news to them, and they were obviously quite concerned. We got the news to them because this was a good chance to get it to them personally so that they would be well informed as to what was going on, but it was still confidential. Well, then they started to say, well gosh, what about our constitutions? You know, what's happened to them? Are they gone? You know, are we still provincials? Well, this was really, neither Father Dedza nor the Vatican had thought this out. So the United States provincials sent a cable right to Father Dedza saying, are we still provincials? What holds? And so he was quite upset. And he got a fax, we helped him get a fax right back, saying, no, the constitutions have not been abolished. No. They've been suspended in 2 points. This is his famous thing. Suspended in 2 points only. What were the 2 points? One, Arrupe was held, according to Jesuit law, to convoke a general congregation, because Arrupe had the vote of the general assistants, he had the vote of the provincials, and so at that point, in Jesuit law, he's called to convoke a general congregation. That was one. And secondly, he had replaced a vicar appointed by the general, according to the constitutions, by his own appointment as a delegate. So those were the 2 points in which he suspended the constitutions. For the rest, it was all the same.